Hey y'all, I am back with an organization video, and this time I'm going to be sharing part one of how I organize my stamps, or how I'm in the process of organizing my stamps. Now, I don't normally love to do a part one, part two when it comes to the same type of video, mainly because I don't really want to leave y'all hanging, but I had to for the simple fact that I actually ran out of a couple things that I need. And so, one, I'm going to share with y'all kind of my thought process behind organizing and categorizing, and then how I'm actually going to end up placing them into the pockets, my solution for that. And then in the second part, I'm going to share how I label them, and then you'll see kind of like the finished product. So you actually do get to see quite a bit in this video. So while I've been talking, I am in the video, I'm just organizing by category. So I want to find out how many stamps I actually have per category. Now, this seems a little tedious, and you don't have to do this part. Well, you kind of do if you want to label by category. So I'm going to have alphas and numbers. I'm going to have themed. So it'll have like kind of in the themed category, we'll have like fall, I believe back to school, maybe even some of my Christmas stamps, although I keep Christmas stuff together. But for now, it'll be a few things in the themed category until I add more. And then I'll have my like Project Life type stamps, so things that I know I would grab for Project Life. More pattern type stamps and kind of backgroundy type stamps. And then all of my Ali Edwards are going to stay together because they are pretty self-explanatory in the sense that I know what's in those, and I know that I'm going to label them by their actual kit. So that'll be pretty easy to just keep those together and be able to grab those when I need them. So I'm at this point, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing, because it did take a little bit of time to figure this out. I have a few random stamps, and well, I don't want to say a few. I probably have more than a few random stamps that I just really honestly wasn't sure. Like the ones I'm holding up right now, I was like, are these more Project Life? Are these more just something I would grab for grab a star out of that particular pack for one project? I was really trying hard to figure out how to categorize these, which proved to be a lot tougher than I actually thought. So I'm continuing to just set these out. And the reason I'm doing this is because, one, I'm going to label them by category, but two, I actually want to count how many are in each, because I want to see what color I want to use. So you actually do not have to categorize them by color. I decided to do it just because I think it'll look pretty, and I did variations of like blush and pink because that's my favorite color, and I wanted to use that in my craft space. And so that's what I'm going to be using to organize the stamps, and I'll kind of share with you my thought process behind that as well. So at this point, continuing to grab the rest of those stamps, I'm going to place them in their correct category. And I have to be honest, I don't know the names of a lot of these stamps because I was not very responsible when I first got these stamps. A lot of times I would just like take them out of the packaging, throw the packaging, and then place them just in my stash. And honestly, I'll grab these stamps so much more if they're organized, because I know myself and I know that's how I am when it comes to especially stamping. Sometimes like grabbing stamps and putting them back seem like a nuisance. And so I think if I have them categorized and I have them like pretty, I think that'll make it easier for me to put them back. So the blush/pink paper pack that I'm going to be using is for Michaels. They have these really pretty color variations right now, especially this blush pack that I was like, I don't ever see pretty like variations of pink like this, especially really subtle pinks. And so I found this pack. I'm going to be using that to categorize these, and that again is an extra step you do not have to do. You can use all white backgrounds for this. You can use all pink of the same color. You can categorize them like primary colors, whatever fits your craft room. Again, it was an extra step. It doesn't make it's one of those things. I had the pack of paper. This is not something you have to do. So here are my pinks. I love this pack. I do have some whites as well, and I decided to actually use white for the most or the biggest stack. So because I know I have extra white, and so if I ran out of like blush or the pink or the rosy color, then I know I have more white. So I'm counting the stamps right now and trying to figure out, okay, what stack do I want? What color do I want to go with what particular stack? So I'm going to keep the dates and the alphas and numbers together because I know I'm going to grab those for different types of projects like my memory planning and then also my project life. I'm going to keep those together, and I know numbers, dates, stamps, that numbers, dates, alphas, those things will all stay together. Um, I'm going to use this like more pinky color for, I think I go with my themed ones. You can see I'm like struggling to figure out exactly how I want to do that. And then I'm actually going to keep my labels, tiny text, and like my little circular ones together because I actually use those a lot for like stamping on cork or making embellishments. And for me personally, that's just going to work better. So now that I have them categorized, the next thing I'm going to do is just kind of share with you a quick look at the different, and you'll see a couple of them have the same color, and that's fine with me. I'm going to keep the themed ones and then also kind of my more background and pattern ones together. Next, you want to figure out what bins you're going to be using. So I actually just had these in my stash. They were unused. I got them from Marshall's, I believe, for probably like $5 or $6 each. And they're, just to give you a little perspective, it does not fit a 6x6 paper pad. So it does fit the Avriel little, what do you call it? The little sleeves, but it does not fit the 6x6 paper pad. So just so you're aware, if you were to tilt them just like that diagonally, you could fit them, but otherwise they're not going to fit nicely. I believe it's about like a 6x9 bin, and so you can have as many of those as you need. So that's what I'm going to be using. Next, I'm going to cut these to size in order to fit them into the Avery L pockets. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, these are plastic sleeves that many of the craft community uses, many people in the craft community use. They are perfect for storing your like standard size stamps. Now, if you have larger stamps, I did have one or two larger stamps that I cut up a long time ago so that they would just fit in my stash, and so that I end up actually using the same sleeves as I use for all of the other stamps. But if you have like super large stamps that you don't want to cut up, you might need a different solution for that, and I haven't quite gotten that far yet. So this step actually is something you definitely do not have to do. So my thought process behind using a tab punch was to actually place the tab on the top of the paper so that it would actually stick up. But then I realized I couldn't do that because I've already cut these papers to the right size. So just to give it some extra detail, I'm going to place these in the left hand corner of every single sheet. One, I had extra paper of the same color. You can do patterns on top of these. You don't actually have to do the same color or like the same tone on the same if that makes sense. Not the same tone on tone, but the same color onto that color. I just did that because it's going to serve as a nice anchor for my labels, and all of my labels I want to be the same size, and so it'll just serve as a nice little anchor. Something you definitely don't have to do. If I would have placed that tab on the top where it's sticking out, then my pocket or my little pouch wouldn't have been able to fold over. So just keep that in mind. You can size your paper down so that you have a little room at the top to put this tab. But honestly, I liked the way that they turned out. You could make this really cute, like I said, and add a pattern tab. And so that way there's some variation. I had the extra scraps for the same color, so I just ended up using those, and that was kind of like the option that I had right in front of me, so that's what I chose. And you can't really see them. That's another thing. If I were to get tired of the tabs or not really care too much like for that look, then they're there, and they serve kind of like, again, as a nice little anchor and a nice little spot so that all of my labels will fit in the same place. And again, it's just kind of a neat little feature because it's like almost embossed, if that makes sense. So again, don't have to do that, just something that I really like. Now, you also don't have to laminate, but if you want to get rid of your backing to all of your stamps, which was part of the reason why I wanted to do this project, this is kind of the big part. I'm laminating every single sheet for the back of to anchor my stamps on, because I want to be able to stick my stamp in there without the backing. I lose the backing so much to the point where I've had to like just create my own out of like plastic wrapping. So my true test is I'm going to turn them over and see if they actually stick, and if they do and they fit inside the pouch perfectly, then that's great. So what's great about this is I don't have to reach inside the pocket to especially if it's a smaller stamp, to reach down in that pocket and stretch it out to grab that stamp out. I know that sounds like first world problems, and it probably is. But part of the reason why I wanted to do this is because I hate the backing. Two, because once I open that pocket, it's so easy to grab the whole entire paper out. And then I'm going to have the paper labeled, so then you know exactly where your stamp needs to go. So I hope that, or your stamp set. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. I'm going to continue showing this process in a very speedy fashion because this is just repetitive at this point. So just to kind of go over the steps with y'all, the first thing you need to do is categorize your stamps, pick the paper you want to use, whether it's white, color, different variations of a color like I did. You can add a little spot for your label. I did that just to give it kind of a fun little look, but you obviously can't really tell too much of a difference. And then you'll want to start laminating your sheets if you want to take the backing off your stamp sets so that they'll stick onto if you just had regular paper, your stamps would not stick. They would slide down. This is going to help them stick great. Now, the other thing I'll mention is if your stamp sets are not super sticky anymore, you can certainly grab so first of all, you can clean them with soap and water and then they'll become sticky again. But I've done that before. Works perfectly. You just have to be careful not to lose them in your sink or wherever you're washing them. You can also grab like an alcohol wipe, which I have kind of laying around just like I'm about to do right here. And you can wipe. This stamp set I'm using right now was not sticky at all, so it wasn't sticking to my laminating sheet. And so you'll just want to wipe it down a little bit and simply place it back. Make sure that it's sticky. Kind of use your hand to go over it to make sure all the wet part is off, and then it will stick perfectly. And then after that, that is pretty much it. I am going to just give you one last view of my categories, and then in part 2, I'm going to share with you how I label these and then how they all come together into the bins. And that is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this process video. Let me know if you did by giving me a thumbs up and if you want to see more, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.